These fall DIYs are coming in hot. My name is Courtney. Let's get crafting. Grab some polymer clay. You will need orange and brown for this project. You want to start by taking some of the orange clay, and to tell you about how much, there are four, little segments of the clay, and I took 1.5 of the little segments. If you look at that orange one, you can kind of see the lines on there. I took about 1.5 of them. So you want to roll it into a ball. So first you kind of have to warm it up a little bit in your hands, and then you want to get the ball nice and smooth. Works really well if you have a silicone mat. Roll it on there. Just make sure it's nice and clean when you're rolling it on there. Then take a rolling pin and you want to start rolling it out until it's kind of a circle shape and about 1/4 of an inch thick. Now you want to make kind of a little indentation at the top. You want this to take on a pumpkin shape. So I'm just using my finger to do that. I've got some of these, I don't know what the technical name of these are, these rollerball tools. I just got them at Michael's, and I'm kind of using that to help me poke that. Then what you need to do is, if you're wondering what we're doing with this, we're turning it into a cute little pumpkin worry stone. So if you are a fidgeter, or if you seem to worry a lot, or just always have to have your hands moving like I do, this is a great little thing to make. You could make them for stocking stuffers. You could make so many different kinds. A ghost, you could do Christmas, so much fun. Then once you get the top all shaped, you want to take that little roller ball, and you can either take your thumb and make an indentation with it. I'm just lightly doing it, and then I'm just taking this roller ball. It works really well. It forms to the shape of my thumb. It fits perfectly, and you just kind of make a little spot there so that your thumb has a place to rub, and you just want to keep doing that until you get a nice indentation on the pumpkin. You want to grab some brown polymer clay, and now you need to work on your stem. So shape it however you want. I just kind of did one with a little bit of a curve at the top. And then you want to grab your orange worry stone and score the top of it with just a little sharp tool, and that will help the stem stick nicely to our pumpkin. Then I take one of those little roller balls again, and I make some little pumpkin indentations on the sides. If you are thinking worry stone, you could add many little features to this, like extra bumps, extra indentations, just have fun with it. And then once the indentions were there, of course I had to give them a little face. So I grabbed some black polymer clay, took 2 very little tiny pieces that I rolled into balls, and then I placed them on my pumpkin, and then just used my finger to tap them down into the pumpkin until I liked about how big they were. For the mouth, I was going to use clay, but then I decided, I'll use a marker. So I used a paint marker just to draw on his little smile, and then it was time to pop him in the oven. So for that, you just need to turn your oven to 275. Now this is for the Sculpey brand clay, and it says for every 1/4 inch of clay, you do 15 minutes. So I did 275 for about 25 minutes, and it turned out great. Once it's out of the oven, your last step is to glaze it, and I'm just using some clay glaze. Now you definitely could use Mod Podge, or you could use UV resin if you'd like to, but here's the thing, just remember that you really need to seal this good, because you'll be rubbing it and stuff will wear off. So I ended up doing 4 coats of this glaze, letting it rest about 30 minutes in between each coat, and then let it sit a good 24 hours before I even picked it up and messed with it. But just think of how many cute little things you can make. I absolutely love this little pumpkin. Let's talk scissors. Every crafter needs them, but they are not all created equal. Well, to solve that problem, in comes Fantic, your solution to scissors. This is the C8 Nano cordless electric scissors from Fantic. When you open the box, you get everything that you need. There's a nice carrying bag, a charging cable, an extra blade, and your scissors. There is a blade already on the scissors when you get them, and this is, again, everything that that you get in your box. It's very simple to get started. So let's talk features. Here is the electric scissors. This yellow button is your trigger, and that is your safety button. The trigger will not work unless you push the safety button. This is a great feature for these scissors. Here you can see your battery display. There is a quick charge, so it takes no time at all to charge this up. And there are 3 different speeds that you can set according to what you are cutting. There's also an LED light, which makes it really nice in case your lighting is not so great and you can see better what you're cutting. What can this cut? Well, let me tell you. These scissors can cut thin cardboard, leather, rope, blister packs, fabric, carpet, and even paper. The trick to it is to put a little bit of a left tilt on it to make sure you get a precise cut. If you'd like more information about these scissors, check the description box down below. I'll have a link there for you. You need a paint tray from Dollar Tree. They come in a 6-pack for this project. I'm going to start by giving this a coat of this is kind of like a base paint, primer paint. I'm using Waverly chalk paint because it really takes paint very well and does a good job covering. Just pick some sort of grayish or some kind of color, tannish, you could do that as well. Just some kind of color. You could even do white if you wanted to get it primed. Once that's done, then you need to go in and paint it. I'm using some galvanized tin paint that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm gonna paint one good coat on here. I got a little too much paint on there when I did it, but that's okay. It's totally okay. Taking some of these pumpkins from Dollar Tree, I'm going to grab one of them out, then grab my fall scrapbook paper, find one that I like, trace the pumpkin onto the scrapbook paper, and of course trim around it, and then attach it to the pumpkin just using my tape roller. Taking some brown wax and a makeup brush that I dab most of it off, I'm just dabbing along the edge of the pumpkin to start, and then I will dab a little bit across all of the paper just to give it that distressed kind of rustic look. Then I decide to also do it to my little tray that I've turned into I'm calling it a muffin tin. And so I'm dabbing around the edge on that and then a little bit on top of the quote-unquote muffin tin until I get it looking how I want. You're going for just a rustic, down-to-earth look. I grabbed some burlap ribbon, cut a piece about a ½ inch wide, and then I also decided to take a piece of white cardstock and my pinking shears. I trimmed the cardstock with my pinking shears, grabbed a black marker, and I just decided to handwrite this. I just wrote pumpkin muffins, and then I glued it all together and got it attached to my little pumpkin sign. I wanted to embellish my pumpkin sign, so I took a little bit of raffia. I did secure it with some hot glue on the back because it will kind of slide off of that stem. It's not a very big stem, and I just tied a knot and then I trimmed down that raffia. So what are we doing with the muffins? Well, I'm going to be using these pumpkins. They came from Hobby Lobby. There's big pumpkins as well as small ones. I'll be using the big ones. If you have little mini muffin wrappers, you definitely could put those in there, but I'm just going to be using these. Now, they didn't sit all the way flush with the bottom because it's rounded and they're flat on the bottom, so it didn't touch it. So what I did is I took some more of that burlap ribbon and I just cut a strip and folded it in half, folded it in half again, hot glued it to the bottom of the pumpkin, and then I was able to put some glue on that pumpkin with the little burlap piece, and that burlap grabs onto the muffin tin and holds my little pumpkins inside of the little muffin tin. I am going to take a little bit of hot glue, put it in the center portion on the side of my little muffin tin, and stick my sign on there. The finishing touch is I just wanted to put some stuff in with my little quote-unquote muffins, and so I decided to grab some raffia. I just cut little pieces. You put some hot glue on one end of it and just kind of shoved it in there around the pumpkins. I just feel like it kind of just kept with the whole rustic theme and gave it that little bit of extra something. But this is a great little thing. You could add it pretty much anywhere, to your kitchen, to your tray, or wherever you would like to do a little fall decor. Grab this free printable down below in the description box. I will have everything from today's video linked down below in there. So check down there. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. First thing you want to do is cut out your template. I printed this on some cardstock. When you go to cut this out, go ahead and cut off the stem and the leaf. You don't need that. I mean, you certainly could leave it if you wanted to, but you don't need it. So I'm going to cut this out, and then what you're going to need is 2 pieces of red felt and 2 pieces of green felt. We're going to take our template, and what I like to do is just use some painter's tape to secure it down and then just cut around my shape so that I get 2 red apples and 2 green apples. You need some tan felt. Now this is the thicker tan felt. I would highly recommend getting that just for the look of this project. And what you want to do is, this is going to be caramel that are going to go onto our apples. So I am just cutting some drips and swoops and just going with it until I get a piece cut. So I'm going to need 2 of those. So there's 1, and then I will do that again. I could, honestly, I probably should have used the other end. I could have just kind of trimmed it up and fixed it. But what I ended up doing was just freehanding it both times. I did not make them look the same, and I cut it out just freehanded. We need to trim the caramel to fit our apple. So what I did is I put the caramel piece down, put my apple on top so that the top of the apple is at the top of the caramel, and then I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue my caramel to the apple. And once it's on there at the top, I can just take scissors and cut around the apple to get it to shape. So I'm going to do that for both pieces. I'm going to do 1 on the red and 1 on the green. Once that is nice and trimmed, I'm going to flip it over and then go ahead and secure those little drips and secure the rest of the caramel on the front of each of the apples. Then once that is completed, I'm going to flip it upside down, and just going along the edge, I'm going to hot glue towards the top of the apple, but making sure to leave an opening. Now you want to grab 2 large popsicle sticks. These are not the jumbo ones from Walmart. Those are even bigger than these. These are just the large ones from Walmart. You want to take popsicle sticks, put a little bit of glue at the end of the popsicle stick, then stick it to the back piece of the apple. So you're going to be sticking it on the apple on the inside that doesn't have the caramel, just like that, and you will do it for both of the apples. Now you want to grab some stuffing and stuff away, just putting a bunch of stuffing, making sure to kind of push it all the way to the edges. Once you get it full how you like it, then you want to close up your top. I just used some hot glue to get that nice and secure. The finishing touch on these is I did want to add some ribbon, so I have a red gingham and a green gingham ribbon that I just got from Hobby Lobby. Tied them in a bow and hot glued those to the top of the apples. So this is a little decor, and then you can also grab this free printable that I have for you here. This is part of a fun little way that you could set up a caramel apple bar if you wanted to. You could put this in a frame, you could put it where you want, but now you've got some really cute decor to go along with your caramel apple bar. And now we're here to update this magnolia dupe. So the original of this was a magnolia dupe back in the spring. I had a nice spring shadow box. This was my summer version, and now it's time to create the fall. So I'm just gonna let you watch, enjoy some music, and see what I create. You can grab all of the printables for this shadow box down below in the description box. That will wrap up today's video. Let me know down below which one of these projects was your favorite. Also, let me know this. If you are going to a fall dinner party, what fall dish would you take to this potluck dinner party? I would love to know because I'm always looking for ideas. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Here are some more videos you might want to check out, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!